Good morning, students. This is a short section dealing with types of viral infection and how do you control the physical agents and chemical agents. Using them, how can you control viral load? Okay. First, we will consider um, viral infection. So now you know that uh, pathogenesis is described as the spread of virus in an organism and the mutual relationship between the pathogen and its host during infection. The types of pathogenesis, the type of viral infections can be majorly of two types. Basically, the viral infection you can have where you cannot show any symptom. That means you are considered as a carrier, and when there is outburst of symptoms, then you show the viral disease. So those are not the two types. You have two types of viral infection. The first is acute infection, and the second is persistent infection. In persistent, you have chronic and then chronic latent, uh, or just chronic is also a type of infection. So there are different viruses. They fall either in these three category: acute, chronic, or persistent. What is mean by acute infection? When you uh, are contacted with some virus and that virus enters your body, it produces more and more in number in a short span of time, where our immune system is also fighting to get rid of it. And then you have the appearance of disease symptoms. This may take maximum of uh, weeks. Like you have coronavirus infection going on, the incubation period after you come into contact with the virus is around 14 days, 14 to 20 days. Between that, the person who come in contact will start showing the symptoms. That means the viral load increases in that span of time to show the disease symptom. So this is the acute infection. And once you get the acute infection, if it is a treatable viral infection, it is easily treated by using the immune system. By in case of cold and common cold, what you get, it stays in the body for week, and then it is cleared out from body by help of medicine. What you take, cold act, you say the common name, and then you take, or cetirizine you take, and then the viral is helped with the immune system to get cleared off. So, acute infections is one in which the symptoms develop rapidly its course and can either be rapid or contracted. So this, in this acute infection also, you can have monophasic infection, you can have biphasic infection. In case of monophasic infection, there is one localized organ of infection, and then that is localized, and then you have the complete clearance of the virus. In biphasic infection, in first of the phase, there will be one localized organ. Like in certain viral infection, there will be initially flu like symptoms, and that will spread to the other organs like skin, liver, or lung. If the primary site is not lung, then you have the spread. So they are biphasic infections. So but still it will persist till weeks, and then it will be cleared off completely. Those are acute infection. But there are this you can imagine your bacteriophage. There were two types of life cycle, right? You have a lytic life cycle and you have a lysogenic life cycle. What is the different tell? In lytic life cycle, the bacteriophage infects the bacteria, it produces more and more in number copies, and then it bursts out from the cell, and the viral particles are released out. In lysogenic infection, the virus is not cleared off, or the virus does not kill the cell, and the viral genome, nucleic acid, gets integrated with the bacterial genome. As it produces daughter cells more and more, the viral DNA is also replicated. With a trigger, there is onset of viral replication, and then you have the symptoms, that is making more number of bacteriophages and lysing the cells. In the similar way, there are some human viruses, like for example HIV. You know that when once a person comes in contact with HIV, he can show the symptoms. but that is the acute infection. But there are some cases where in which time the viral may not show the symptoms, but it will be incubated in our body, and then over the time span, the maximum incubation for HIV virus is documented 14 years. After 14 years there can be a trigger, and then you have the viral infection coming up. So that is the latent infection. Chronic is something where you have a viral infection. There is constant production of these viruses and clearing off by the system, but the viral load is such that it will not be able to completely ward off the symptoms. So you carry the disease along over the long span of time, that is over years. Those, that is chronic infection. In persistent infection, there are three types basically. So now you know what is acute infection. You have the disease onset for weeks and then it is cleared off. Latent comes under persistent only. I'll keep it aside. Chronic infection is something where you have the disease, it is not completely cured, and that will stay for the lifespan. Okay. And for example, hepatitis B virus, when it is infected, the disease is not completely cured, but you have the viral particle inside. The viral, since during the initial weeks when there is peak of the disease, some drugs will be given, some B cells are produced, they are constantly fighting inside the system to clear off this virus. The virus load is still there, but it is not cleared off. It will be like you are a carrier but without any symptoms. That can become more advanced in the later stages over the years, or it can be as such chronic for a long time. A chronic infection is when a symptom develops gradually over weeks or months and are so slow to resolve. When you grow these viruses in cell culture, it's very clear what kind of disease, viral infection it produces, whether it is acute or persistent. In acute, you have the infection of the cells are killed by the viral replication, and then more number of cells are infected, they are killed, and it goes on until the host is available. Example of such diseases are influenza, poliomyelitis, toga virus, etc. There are many. In coming to persistent, you have different types: chronic diffuse, chronic focal, and latent. What is the meaning of chronic diffuse? In chronic diffuse infection, it is also called as steady state infection. All of the cells are infected and both the virus and cell multiplication proceed without the cells being killed. Okay. There is a viral load like your plasmid DNA. The virus is staying inside the cell. As the cell multiplies, there are viral loads also which is getting multiplied. Virus is continuously released from the cells and the infection cannot be eliminated by antiviral antibodies. Okay. This example of such virus are what is this? Rubella, lymphocyte, choreo meningitis virus. Like example, lymphocytic choriomeningitis virus are few examples. Coming to chronic focal infection. In this case, only a small portion of the cell population is infected. These cells release the virus and are killed, which small population which get infected. Low concentration of antiviral substance like the antibody or interferon reduce extracellular virus to low level, so that only a small number of susceptible cells are infected at any time, maintaining the infection. Such chronic focal persistent infection can be cured by increasing the concentration of antiviral antibody or interferon or non-specific inhibitor. Okay. Okay. Example is adenoviral infections. Coming to latent. Latent infection is a type in which the viral genome is integrated into the nucleus, or it is there, which is replicated and segregated to the daughter cells either within the chromosome or extrachromosomally. Example of latent viral infection are varicella zoster, herpes simplex, Epstein-Barr virus, etc. So these are the types of viral cell interactions. So persistent, there are huge varieties of infections which are persistent, which are affecting different systems. Like for immune system, you have so many virus, cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, HIV, and so many viruses. If you come to the skin, also you have so many viruses. If you come to digestive system, hepatitis B virus, adenovirus, parvovirus, HPV, all are few examples. So here what you have to remember is what is the definition of an acute viral infection, what is the definition of a chronic viral infection, what is the definition of a persistent viral infection, how many different types of persistent viral infections are there, and then few examples of. When you come to persistent virus, you have the chronic also. Like for example, for chronic virus, you can tell the hepatitis B virus example only as the chronic viral disease, where the chronic focal, when I explained, the same thing you can tell, for where the cells are also getting died, but the immune system is able to clear the virus also, but the load is still there, because at some point of time there are cells which are infected, still staying inside the system. So the second part of the topic is inactivation. Today's talk is inactivation or inhibition of viruses by physical and chemical agent. So there are different places and different strategies are used. For example, when you have to do in a viral related work in basic research, like in a laboratory, you have to use physical and chemical agents to clear off. But the same physical and chemical agents cannot be used for vaccine preparation. When you have certain media preparation, serum preparation for growing cell culture, which will be later used for viral growth or understanding something related to viruses, you cannot use the same physical and chemical method, because they are very harsh, but you can modify these methods and then use. So my first part of this inactivation and inhibition is related to processing of plasma according to WHO guidelines, and then the second part will be the lab. In lab, how can you disinfect, or using physical and chemical agents, how can you bring about sterilization? Okay, so heating is one of the best method to avoid an infection to spread. For bacterial infection to reduce, for example, some toys are played by the child and you want to sterilize it, what do? You put that in boiling water and allow it to be there in boiling water for 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, so that all the germs on the instrument is killed, and then the child can use that toy to play, right? In the similar way, when you take plasma, the first section, the two slides are related to plasma processing or vaccine processing strategies. Like you can use pasteurization method. Pasteurization method is what do you mean by pasteurization? Pasteurization is something where you heat, right? Pasteurization is a process in which water and certain packaged and non-packaged food are treated with mild heat, usually less than 100 degrees, to eliminate pathogen to extend lifespan. So plasma is made up of albumin, and then plasma will also contain other things. So you can heat the sample to 60 degrees Celsius for a time span, like use 5% albumin solution and use one virus which you are suspected in the sample, heat it at 60 degrees for a certain span of time. You have to optimize, usually 10 minutes is best. When you heat it with using pasteurization, like then you have inactivation of the virus. This process inactivates both enveloped and non-enveloped viruses, including HIV. Here you have to see to it the temperature is maintained properly, and the spreading all the parts of, if suppose you have a lyophilized vial using pasteurization, or you have a sample in the test tube using pasteurization, you are removing the viral load, then you have to see to that all parts of the samples are exposed to equal temperature. It is not effective in to most of the viruses, but certain where you feel that viral load is less, to make sure that it is not there, you can use pasteurization. If you have protein stabilizers in the sample, that will not remove the load of the virus, and again you have to validate the process at each time. And the second is terminal dry heat. This inactivates both enveloped and non-enveloped viruses. Like for example, if you have done a vaccine preparation and then you are packing that, you generally use lyophilization. After lyophilization, you pass nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas and then vacuum seal it, heat it so that the protein does not denature. Like for example, 60 degrees for 10 hours you can use for high concentrations, because there will be stabilizing agents which can selectively stabilize the protein of interest what you have. Again, the optimization is required in this process. The third method is vapor heat. This inactivates both enveloped and non-enveloped viruses. So here in vapor heat, it is generally for lyophilized product under humidified conditions. You have certain moisture content of a sample, or you can increase the moisture content of the sample by adding the percentage of water, that is relative water content you need to know. Once you know the relative water content, you pass the nitrogen gas and then hold it. Because there is dry condition, the water vapors come out of the sample, and this will create kind of a moist intermediate conditions. During this phase shift from the liquid to vapor phase, there is some heat generated, and that is enough for vapor heat sterilization. This is usually you can increase the temperature also during this process. For example, 80 degrees for 1 hour or 60 degrees for 10 hours can be done. The fourth method is using solvent or detergents. This is the most effective way for like enveloped viruses. Very efficient and does not denature protein. It has high process recovery. Relatively simple equipments are needed. How it is done? Organic solvents or detergent mixtures, you know that they disrupt the lipid membrane of enveloped viruses. Once disrupted, the virus can no longer bind and infect the cells. Non-enveloped viruses are not inactivated by this process. How it is done? Usually 0.3% tri-N-butyl phosphate and 1% non-ionic detergent is used, either Tween 80 or Triton X100 at 24 degrees Celsius for minimum of 4 hours. If you use Triton X100, and minimum of 6 hours if you use Tween 80. And next is lowering the pH, like acid conditions. So you know that these viral particles, if you are taking plasma, these viral particles are bigger particles in the plasma, and they can be selectively precipitated using acidic pH. It's as effective again enveloped viruses. It is relatively simple because you do not need hi-fi instrument, but it has limited efficiency against non-enveloped viruses. Use largely restricted to IgG sample preparation, and at pH 4 effective virus kills require elevated temperature also, for which you have to optimize for each virus. You have other techniques like precipitation technique using ethanol. Absolute ethanol you can precipitate and separate the sample of interest. Or using chromatography. If you know the plasma virus and you have already have an antibody which is generated, you can use that antibody uh, as the affinity column, and you can purify the virus and then remove the plasma free of uh, other free of the viral infection what is expected. Again, here also you have to optimize the column and what conditions you are separating the virus and other proteins of the sample. Those are critical uh, factors. Using nanofiltration is a technique that is specifically designed to remove viruses uh, according to their size while permitting flow of the other desired protein. So it is effective against enveloped viruses, can be effective against few non-enveloped viruses also. They do not denature proteins. This was about plasma uh, uh, processing using making it virus free. You can use other chemical agents and physical agents like heat and UV are there. Heat will lead to denaturation and thereby removing the viral load. UV it will act on nucleic acids, thereby viral replication is affected. And chemical agents like chloroform, ether, um, phenol, quaternary ammonium compound. Quaternary ammonium compounds are highly efficient against enveloped viruses, and other chemicals like iodine, hypochlorite. Hypochlorite, they produce ionic species like singlet toxin. They attack the protein bonds and produce radical species, thereby the destabilizing the protein capsid, or sometimes they can attack the nucleic acids also, so that there is radical formation and the replication is affected. A, and then you have antiviral drugs. Antiviral drugs, for example, you know that viral infection has certain steps. Like you have there are basically 7 steps. The first step is attachment, second step is penetration, third step is uncoating of the virus, and fourth step is nucleic acid synthesis. Or you can have another step where there is integration and transcription inside the nucleus, and then viral protein formation and package and assembly and release. So at each step you can have an antiviral agent which is effective. Like at the attachment site, uh, there are some drugs like Maraviroc. Maraviroc is a drug which affects the attachment and entry of the viruses. At the penetration level, you can have interferons. Example, against HPV virus, interferons are affecting the penetration site. At uncoating also, you can have specific antiviral drugs like amantadine. This is a prophylactic drug which is used against influenza virus. At nucleic acid stage, you can have nucleic acid analogs which can affect the viral replication. Or at the integration site where you have integrase transfer inhibitors. For example, in case of HIV, few drugs are given which can be used for treating viral infections. At viral protein synthesis level, you can have protease inhibitors like atazanavir, indinavir. These are protease inhibitors which are used to block the viral protein synthesis stage. Yeah, at the package and assembly stage also you have certain drugs which can reduce the viral release. Like for example, in case of influenza, neuraminidase enzyme is important for packing and transfer. If you have drugs against this neuraminidase enzyme, then the viral infection is not passed and ineffective. So in this lecture what I spoke is what are the types of infection, that is acute, chronic and persistent infection. You need to know examples and physical methods of inactivation using heat, boiling or filtration. I did not mention filtration. Filtration is also very best method to remove viruses. For example, the first most study, if you remember my previous lecture, how viruses were like first initially identified, you have the filters which were used against used to filter Ganga river, by which they know that there was some particle apart from bacteria which can be infective. You can have filters that can retain viruses, yeah, and some large proteins, so that the filtrate, you, if you have any vitamin supplement, or if you have any kind of chemical which you need to supplement your viral cultures, then you can use filtration which has less than 0.01 micrometer pores which can hold on the viruses, and then you can have viral free suspension. Yeah, boiling is on one more physical method by which you can reduce the viral load, but again certain viruses, even after boiling for 4 hours, they are not eliminated. But as such, increasing the temperature will affect the uh, viral infection. Desiccation is one more method, but that is not very effective. So the filtration, boiling are the best method. Apart from that, UV you can use, which will inactivate or damage the nucleic acid. Coming to chemical agents, chemical agents like alcohols, naked viruses are not killed, but enveloped viruses are affected. Quaternary ammonium compounds affect the enveloped viruses. Aldehydes, like formaldehyde, that is formalin 37% aqueous solution, inactivate viruses, that is effective. Peracetic acid kill viruses in 30 minutes. So these can be used at the laboratory level. Apart from that, detergents also can be used at laboratory level to clean the surfaces, because enveloped viruses are effectively removed by detergents. Apart from that, you have iodine, you have singlet oxygen producing chemicals, chlorine dioxide, which will affect the protein capsid and nucleic acid by forming radicals, and then you have the removal of the viral load. At the human level, you can have antiviral drugs. Antiviral drugs, like you can have at different stages of viral infection, antiviral drugs which can be given to humans to reduce the viral loads at the level laboratory level. You can have physical and chemical methods. At the level of food and the injections or the vaccines what you can give to viruses, you have different methods like pasteurization method, like you have using detergent, you have chromatography method, nanofiltration. So these are different methods by which you can process the plasma, or you can process the vaccines and then get rid of viruses. At the human level, when we have viral infection, you can give antiviral drugs, like at different stages of their infection, based on the virus, and then you can get rid of the viral load. Thank you.